Hi, it's Chris Titley here. As part of the Scoreboard podcast series, I'm joined by Elle Armit. Elle, thank you so much for coming in and being part of the series.
Thanks for having me. It's an honour to be here.
I'm going to start with 2024 for you. How has 2024 been?
Crazy. I think January me and December me have, if they sat down and have a conversation, that just December me, her mind would be blown. It's just been an amazing, roller coaster of emotions and events and lots of ups and lots of downs. But yeah, incredible finish, I think.
Yeah, you've come into the studio with a silver medal, the heavy silver medal that it is. Can you talk about that experience in Paris?
Yeah, we kind of went into it, I wouldn't say not expecting much, but having kind of low expectations of how we were going to finish, just based on previous events. And we just took it game by game and we set to our game plan, and it just kind of kept chipping away and it kept coming back in our favour, which was great. And we got to a point where, the gold medal match and came away with the silver medal, which is, no easy feat.
And then your relationship with water polo, do you want to describe how it's been since the early days and where it is now?
Yeah, for sure. I have had, a very much love-hate relationship with water polo. I absolutely fell in love with it, and it was my life for many, many years, up until I think after Tokyo. Straight away after Tokyo, COVID was rife still in Australia and I had nowhere to live. So I took up a contract playing overseas. And in that time, I realised I didn't love it anymore, and I was, having a really hard time living overseas and playing water polo. So I took a step back, reassessed my life and what I wanted, had a bit of a break, and then I tried it again. I fell in love again. And then, right before Paris, I was actually deselected from the team. So there was kind of a moment there was this all worth it or not? I definitely didn't fall out of love with it in that moment. I had to sit down and reassess whether I was going to put everything into this for the last 6 month push and try again. But I'm really, really glad I did.
So good. The love-hate relationship you mentioned when you went overseas to play professionally, what was the trigger to think, oh, this is not, I'm not enjoying this? Was it the travel or was it just the game itself?
I think like I said, I did it to run away from my problems essentially, and I not even just not having anywhere to live, but just processing what happened in Tokyo. And so I didn't process any of that, and it kind of.
Do you want to give the listeners a bit of understanding on what Tokyo, the trigger there to kind of?
So obviously Tokyo had COVID, and we were going to go, and then it was postponed a whole year, and so we had a whole another year of training and prepping, and heavily tested all the time. We stayed in Australia. We didn't have any international contact or prep leading into the games. The games themselves were heavily again tested for COVID, and a lot of hype and outward media pressure of shouldn't they go ahead. And then in the end we finished 5th. So that was kind of a disappointing finish for us. We were expected to top 4. So then coming off the back of that and playing overseas, not having any support base there with me, I think I went into it with a mindset that I was going to travel a lot more than I did and see a lot more of the country that I was living in and doing a lot more fun things, but it didn't end up that way, and COVID was still really heavily present in Italy. So I was kind of trapped to the hometown where I was, which wasn't a bad city. It just wasn't what I was expecting. And then there just were more bad days than good days. So that was kind of a trigger to me. And I was always in contact with my psych, and it kind of was his suggestion that I take a step back and see if it was the water polo that was causing this or something else. And so I finished out the season and then just took some time off, because it would have been straight back into international things if I came back and kept going.
And playing water polo at an earlier age, was the dream always to make the Olympics?
No, actually, I just really loved sport. I picked up water polo when I was 10. So for me, the Olympic dream didn't really start until maybe just after London, London Olympics. One of my really close friends went to the London Olympics and played for Australia in water polo, and it kind of triggered the dream in me to say, well, if she did it, I can too. So, yeah.
Right, but then getting to the Olympics obviously was, in terms of Beijing, was jubilation of being selected and then playing, but then the experience wasn't what you thought might have been the experience.
Yeah.
And so this sort of dream of like, okay, we're here, this is amazing, but this
Yeah.
is so restricted and everything, and then obviously the performance wasn't good. Then knowing that there's an Olympics in 4 years' time, did you take some time off to think, before you went overseas, did you think, oh, should I give it a go, should I not?
After Tokyo,
Yeah.
no, I signed the contract while I was at the games,
Yep.
essentially, or immediately after. So yeah, I had zero time off to really think about what I was going to do, and then so after I took the break, was the time that I actually sat with, am I going to continue playing water polo? Am I going to push for Paris? And it was weirdly a conversation that I had with a teacher at school one day. He was a rower in 2000. And he just said to me, like, you're so young, you'd be so stupid not to keep going. And, like, it's so funny. I'd heard that so many times before, but it was just the way he said it. And I guess who he was when he said it. So that really like struck something in me that I was like, I would be stupid not to give it one more crack.
Yeah. And you gave it one more crack, but then you got dropped, right?
Yeah.
And so the harsh reality of sport is, and the feedback you get is like, you didn't get picked. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
Or you might take that personally. But how did you pick yourself up?
It was hard. I honestly wasn't expecting it. So I felt a bit blindsided. However, I've had lots of conversations with my coach since, and we both agree it was necessary. So, I was like a bit blindsided. I cried a lot. I screamed, I hit my head up against the wall, and then complained, and a lot of coaches I was complaining kind of to people that would give me the validation that I should have been in the team. And then once we sat down and we got answers from the head coach, it was evident that, okay, this is necessary. What is the process moving forward? So then we grabbed everyone we could, the psych, the strength coach, the head coach, etc., and mapped out a plan and just made sure that I was ticking those boxes. So then when the time comes, she was going to call me and tell me I was going to Paris.
In regards to high performance sport, there's a physical element and a performance issue, but then there's the up here. And you've mentioned your psych a couple of times now. How important is to get that mindset right, and also to kind of, I wouldn't say right, but get that mindset in the right direction, I suppose, so then it impacts your physical performance.
It's super important, and I think it's such an afterthought for people, but it literally was the thing that was getting in my way. I was getting in my own way. So it was the only thing that I was kind of lacking that I needed to work on. And it was, as I said, an afterthought for most people. But if you're in continuous and constant conversation with your psych, it definitely helps you be better prepared. And it's not sitting there, and I think people think talking about your feelings, which most of it is, but a lot of it is getting that high performance mindset ready for when you're at this the peak performance, like the show, the Olympics. And really, you can sit in a room and go through every scenario under the sun about what might happen, but you can't really be prepared until you're there and going through it.
And let's go through the USA game. This is the game, right?
Yeah.
This is the one that everyone's been waiting for. The champions that had beaten you a number of times and even beaten you in the preparation as well.
Yeah, didn't just beat us; they flogged us.
Yeah. And so coming into this game, which you've talked about, this is the one.
Yeah.
And then coming to the end result, obviously right at the end as well of the shootout. How did you prepare for that game?
Well, we had to sit down and before every game, we wrote down our fears on a Post-it and we gave it to our team psych, and she was then the gatekeeper. So it was kind of like a physical action of us taking our fears and releasing them to her to hold. And then we just wrote down something brave of ourselves that we could carry into the game. So basically we sat down and we all agreed that we had to relinquish all the previous things that have happened between us and not hold on to them and just start afresh. And just like anything at the Olympics can happen, literally anything. Anyone can win, anyone can lose. So we had to really write on that and stick to our processes. And it just kind of we had this momentum throughout the game, and it happened in every game. We just felt like we were not going to lose, and everyone was just so confident and working together. And we never went individual. We never, went back and reverted to old habits. We just stuck to our game plan, and it just, paid off.
And the feeling of jumping into the pool just before the first whistle, how were you feeling? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Like, I'm not going to throw words at you because I could go on forever.
Yeah, both, everything, all the emotions. Like I said, the lineup probably is the moment that you're standing there and like singing the national anthem with your team is probably the moment that you're taking it all in and realizing what you're feeling. And yeah, I think I was standing there in the moment kind of just like, let's do this. Like, why not us? Why can't we beat them this time? Whatever happened in the past, and we just have to, take this opportunity with both hands.
And then at halftime, down 5-2, same feeling or not?
Not really. I don't really remember. I've obviously blacked a lot of the memory, but I do remember looking at their bench and looking at them laughing and thinking, they think they've won this. They think they've won this for sure. And so they just thought they were going to have an easy ride. And I remember coming in and thinking, like, we can't make this easy. We can't just hand this to them. This is, Olympics
moment,
semi-final.
right?
Like, we have to make it hard. Even if we go down fighting, we have to make it hard. So, yeah, I think from that moment on, everyone was just like, we're going to do everything within our power to make it a hard game for them.
And no doubts crept in at all?
I don't think so. I just think you're too caught up in the game, in the moment, to think what might happen. And even if you do, you have to bring yourself back in very quickly. And I think that was one of our strengths throughout the tournament.
As opposed to sort of being down 5-2, like, oh, look, if they get the first two, we're cooked sort of thing. There's none of that. It was more like, okay, we're not going to let them get another goal. We're going to come back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then watching and being part of the shootout.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, and then Gabby's save. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even put my hand up for a penalty shot at the entire tournament. And then I just thought, no, I looked around and no one else was. And I was like, well,
I heard Gabby put her hand up as well.
Let's do this. Yeah. So like we come in and everyone was like, our coach is like, who's brave enough to do this? And everyone like was kind of like a bit nervous, I think. And yeah, Gabby was like, let's do this. So then we're like, why not? If we're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging. And honestly, like as Gabby saved that, I turned and I was like, oh my God, yes, like we saved it. And I was turning to see who was shooting next. And our captain turned to me and her eyes were like so wide.
Like you didn't realise that
we'd won. Yeah. And neither did Tilly. And we were kind of standing there going, oh my God, we've won, oh my God. And then we're like screaming, crying, like throwing up. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then the support crew was just like this emotion that you're through to this final, but then you're going to play the final, right?
Yeah.
And that's just going to be, that's tough, like because you've achieved what you haven't achieved before. To get to the point where you've guaranteed yourself a medal.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but hold on a second, there's a stiff here for gold.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in hindsight, that kind of felt like our gold medal match against America.
Yeah. And then the grand final match, obviously just pure joy. Like how long was it? 48 hours or something after?
Yeah, not even 48. Yeah, less than.
Pure joy, and then like, right, we're going to do this again.
Yeah,
and lift, and then a very close game as well.
So
but
close.
Then the feeling of losing, but the feeling of winning.
It's a weird feeling to lose the gold medal match because you win a bronze and you lose a gold, right? So after it happened, we were just so upset that we were that close to winning a gold medal. And then you are turned around so quickly to get into the medal, like to the staging room and in your suits and whatever to get up on the podium. You really don't have time to process it. And everyone is kind of internally beating themselves up that, that was me. If I did this, if we did that, So you're having all those thoughts, you're having to go through media, but then you've won a silver Olympic medal, like something that nobody really backed us to do. So then we have to quickly then be happy. So it's a really hard position. So you can see, and a lot of people asked us after, like, oh, you're crying after. Well, yeah, we lost the game. So, but then, once that passed and we were happy that we won a silver medal, it was all celebrations.
And then I suppose the emotions of what you've gone through with the love-hate, relationship with water polo, you just must have soaked it up, right?
Definitely. And I think the best part for me was being able to run to the crowd and hug my loved ones. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional about it now. Which we couldn't do in Tokyo, obviously, but having them there and having something physical for them to hold for all their years of sacrifice as well. And they know, obviously, what a tumultuous kind of relationship I've had with water polo to get there. So, yeah, it was definitely an amazing feeling to be able to hug them. And
you've got the coaches, you've got the psych, you've got all the people in the team that's helping you to be the best you can. You've also got your people that are back to your friends and your family. Yeah.
Exactly. And they've also been on the receiving end of so many phone calls of tears and screaming and happiness as well. So, it was their journey. And I was joking the other day, but my mum would, like, straight away after Paris, my mum would always call me and be like, I saw this person in the street and they congratulated me, and and I was like, this is your moment, doll. Laugh it up, laugh it up. So it is their medal as much as it is mine.
Hashtag Olympic mums.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your interest in sport, where did that come from?
Just growing up in Townsville, it's kind of like a sporty city. I have 4 older brothers, so my dad played rugby, or my brothers played sports, so we're just sport mad family, I guess. And, every Saturday we'd go down to the local state school and play all the sports we had balls for, essentially. And so it was just, something ingrained in me that I was going to play sport. And I very quickly learned I was a water athlete more than a land athlete. But yeah.
What about team sport versus individual sport?
Yeah, swimming for me, like straight swimming, was so boring. I hated it. So I knew I liked that competitiveness of team sport, and I loved hanging out with my friends and doing things on the weekend and stuff like that. So I knew the team sport aspect was for me, for sure.
And then the enjoyment of sport versus making it a professional career, or at least a pathway to the Olympics. How did you balance that?
With great difficulty. A lot of trial and error, especially once I started working full time. It just came with a lot of preparation. Time management was key, scheduling and everything, and making sure I was prepped for the day. But yeah, it was really hard. I did not have much sleep. I was, sacrificing a lot. And I don't like to say sacrifice, but it was a choice to do it. And I knew it wasn't going to be forever, but I knew it was for a reason, and I had a goal in mind. So for me, it was important. The hard part was articulating that to my friends and family when I missed key events like weddings and birthdays and things like that. However, they were always really supportive and never pressured me to do, to be, or guilt me that I couldn't come to some things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the word sacrifice from other athletes. I've also heard the word investment in yourself, and investment, to be the best possible person that you could. In regards to water polo now, what's your relationship right now with water polo?
We're on a break. I am taking a step back just to see if it's something that I want to keep doing. And honestly, I am working because I need to earn some money because it's not a lucrative sport. So yeah, I just wanted some time to enjoy life and say yes to a lot of things that I couldn't before. I'm going to reassess in the new year. I'll probably play at a club level in National League. However, yeah, right now we're on a break.
Yeah, you mentioned as well that you're working full time to kind of top up things and whatnot. Yeah. Is there an interest from a work point of view to go, right, this is what I want to be outside of water polo?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously my career has taken a back seat, for sure. So I want to kind of map that out and just kind of set myself up for, what I want to be as a teacher. Well, I'm teaching right now. So putting my teaching career first now, and I want to, is it just teaching that I want to do? Do I want to be in middle management? Do I want to be, in pastoral care? Do I want to be in the CLT, in the college leadership team? So just kind of figuring out what path in teaching I want to take. And I really haven't taken much opportunities within the school. So I really want to immerse myself in the school community and do, the co-curriculars and go on the trips and the tours and the camps and really just throw myself into teaching life.
Yeah, where did that interest for teaching come about? And obviously you can't just rock up and be a teacher. There's a whole lot of study required and time and effort. How did you manage all that?
So kind of when I was at school, I thought I was going to go down the path of like exercise movement science, like a exercise physiologist. And my career advisor at the time just said, maybe just do education with it. So then there's a fallback option if that's not what you wanted. And so I did a dual degree in like human movements and education, essentially. And I went back and forth in the time that I was doing my degree, whether I wanted to drop education or keep it. And my mum sat me down one day and was like, you are not dropping education. So that was a quick decision. I'm really glad I kept it though, because as I went through the degree more and I've started teaching more, I found I do really like a lot of aspects of it. And I found outside of teaching, the crossover is immense. And so I did extra studies in career counselling as well, and like to be an athlete wellbeing and engagement person. And I think I kind of want to go towards the pastoral care formation type avenue because I think I really enjoy getting kids to see the best person they can be rather than actually teaching the content in the classroom, if that makes sense. So just making them good humans rather than just trying to throw content at them and teach them things.
It's fascinating that I've got three kids and they're just playing club sport now,
Mm.
but then they're starting to get into like the trials and selections of A's and B's and representative teams. It's a new world from when you're a younger parent, but there's a lot of serious parents on the sideline, and there's a lot of serious kids as well trying to be something, because the money and fame and all these sort of I suppose the broadcast rights in particular sports make it a huge profession now. I'm curious to know what you would be telling young girls and young boys out there who are pretty good at sport, probably like that you were at that age, to like what's some advice you give them?
Yeah, definitely. And this is something I get asked all the time. And I was doing a program within water polo, and it's something that I enjoy, is trying to teach them that high performance mindset. However, I think not pigeonholing yourself too soon is important, and trying different things, because as you said, do you like team sports? Do you like individual sports? Is it a a land-based one? Just trying different things and having fun is the key thing when you're a kid, because you can't get that back. And once you become a serious professional athlete, there isn't a lot of time for that. You don't get to do new things. You have a lot of fun, yes, but it is a lot more serious than when you're a kid. So I think, not pigeonholing yourself too soon. And as you said, there's a lot of helicopter parents out there, and I think they're just trying to put the best thing, do the best for their kid, which is great. But a lot of times they just need to take a back seat and let the kid have fun, and, teach them good values and lessons, from losing. And not everyone's going to win, and that's fine. But what lesson can we learn from this? How can we grow? How can we get better? If it's something that you want, let's go ask someone expert on how to get better. But it's not the be all and end all to win. I think try everything and see what you like and have fun.
I'm curious to know whether you've won more than you've lost in your life in terms of games. Do you have any kind of thing that you like? Maybe it's 50-50, or you probably won a little bit more, or you've lost a little bit more. People keep coming back every week, and it's addictive. And the athletes that I've interviewed before, it's actually I think I probably lost more than I won, but hey, you know what? This is why I keep coming back, to learn more.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I think we've lost a lot more than we've won, for sure. And I think that's one of the things, that the benefits that we had going into that American game, is that they had won a lot more games, so they didn't have to learn that much, whereas we had so much to learn and so much to grow and come from. So that's what I would say, is a loss is a growth. You don't learn if you're winning, because it's going right. And we sat down after the Paris, and we had a review, and a lot of things we were saying oh, well, we did well, so why would we change it? But then we have to look more critically at it and say, well, if we didn't win, what would we have changed? And you need to learn and grow from every experience. So a loss is great, because then you can learn something about yourself and move forward.
What made you get back into that team and become the best individual player? You talked about the mindset and the off the field stuff, but was there a particular thing or habit that you got yourself into to be the best possible person at high performance that you could be?
Just thinking back on it, I think I was just not going to squander this chance. And one of the things the coach said to me was I needed to be a team player. And in my mind, I was like, you're crazy, because I am a team player and I always put this team first. But what she meant was that, in every aspect, you are thinking team first. So I had to do a lot of training by myself, because I was working full time. And so in those moments where you're thinking, oh, no one's here, I'm just going to cut a set, or I'm going to cut a lap, I'm not going to do that extra rep because I'm tired. That's in that moment I thought, no, because then I'm letting my team down. I can't be the best team player then. And in moments where I was so frustrated with myself and my performance and what was going on, I then had to put that to the side and say, well, what does the team need from me right now? Okay, she wants me on the bench. I'll sit on the bench and I'll be the best team player I can be. I'll be happy. I'll be supportive. Even though deep down I wanted to be in the water, obviously. So I think just in every aspect of my training and prep, I was putting the team first. And I think that showed for everybody, not just myself, in the team when we went to the Olympics.
That's fascinating to kind of change that little mindset. No cutting corners. You're doing everything for your team. confidence, like, sounds like to me you're a confident person. Are you a confident person?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. What about? I suppose you when something doesn't go right, do you wear your heart in your sleeve and beat yourself up a bit too much?
Sometimes, yes. My mum always told me that you can read the emotions on my face for sure. But you get better at it as you go along. And one thing a psych said to me once is that confidence and performance are never linked. So as much as when you're growing up, you feel great, you have a great performance, you feel even better. However, when you're feeling shit and you have a shit performance, you're like, well, that's why, right? So then you link confidence and performance together. However, we've all had games where you feel really shit and you play amazingly. So you just have to keep reminding yourself that confidence and performance aren't linked, and just remind yourself that you are doing the best that you can with your ability and the knowledge that you have at that time. And the best is the best you can offer, and that's all anyone can ask of you. So I think putting unrealistic expectations in ourselves, that's when the confidence goes down and we don't perform, we don't meet these expectations, and then you get down on yourself, which definitely happened to me at the Olympics. And my coach sat me aside and was like, you're kind of going insular right now, you're going into yourself, we can see it happening, don't do it. Like, whatever expectations you're thinking you have to meet, don't do it. Come back to us, sit with us, and let's be a team. And that was kind of like the trigger for me to think, okay, well, again, whatever expectations I had on game time, on whatever, have to put that aside now for the team. So yeah.
And the one game at a time approach, I've heard that a number of times through. Is that something which resonated really well with your team?
100%, because you can't be thinking too far ahead, because you've got your stage games, which obviously we had 4 to go through, and then we had a crossover and then a quarter. So you can't be thinking about the gold medal match when you haven't won a stage game yet. So one game at a time, not even that, minute by minute, quarter by quarter. So as you can see in the American game, we went down 5-2. If we would have given up then, we would have been thinking too far ahead. So yeah, literally just like step by step the entire time.
I'm going to go off water polo for a second and a little bit more about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a very prolific Instagram following.
Mm-hmm.
Being transparent and open is tough for some people to showcase their life. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's a weird balance also being a teacher, having this public profile now. I'm still getting used to it. It's weird for me, obviously, going from like nothing to something, and just trying to.
I don't think that's. I think from people that don't know you, right?
Yeah, it is, like, I guess, and I'm just like I'm an open book, so I don't mind talking about the highs and lows of everything and being candid about it all. I guess it's just trying to find the time to be candid and trying to find time to be funny, and it's just balancing, posting things and not posting things and wanting a little bit of privacy sometimes, and
and how do you go when people recognize you, or at least you're going back to schools or giving talks and showing off your medal? How does that make you feel?
Weird. It's something I've never obviously experienced before, and obviously the people at school, I would know that they'd recognize me because they watched and they told me they watched and things like that. But it was a weird moment the other day. We're at school and we're leaving for this school camp that I was taking the kids on, and a mum and daughter were like walking through for like a presentation for another year level through the school, and I was kind of like pushing the kids aside and letting them through, and they're like, oh, where's this place? And I was directing them, and they're like, thank you. And then she like double backed and was like, oh my God, my daughter just recognized you. You're Elle Armit, like you're the silver medalist. And I was like, oh yes, thank you. Like, thanks. And she's like, thanks for watching. Oh my God, high five. And after she left, I was just kind of like speechless. And the kids were like, yes, you're famous. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just your teacher, So yeah, it's a bit weird when people recognize me, or, my friends dob me in, but there is that little bit of sense of pride that, yes, I am this person. And it took a lot of years and hard work, and now it's my time to kind of bask in it.
And the downtime during sport, do you get yourself a good book? Do you listen to a podcast? Do you jump on a Netflix?
I find it really hard to sit still. So obviously I've joined a gym, I've started running, I do Pilates, so lots of those things. I'm working full time, but with the holidays coming up, the school holidays, I'm definitely I've got a stack of books that I'm gonna start reading.
How are the kids in term 4? All right?
Oh, they're ready for holidays as well.
As are the parents.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a stack of books to read. I've got a few Netflix movies queued up, ready to go. So
Are you going to get away?
I am going to go home to visit my parents for a week
Townsville.
to Townsville, yeah. But that's about it, really. Just otherwise, just resting and recovering, and so I'll be in Brisbane.
And a favourite destination of either travelling to or playing at?
Italy always has my heart. I think it just is something in our family that Italy is always there. I did love France though. France is really beautiful, and I love that country too. I had a holiday in America, which I would love to go back to again.
East or west?
We kind of went across the whole thing. Yeah. So we started in New York and kind of made our way across down the south, across to LA. I don't know. There's lots of places that I love, and there's this. Actually, I always say this, but when we were growing up, there was this really cool pool in Hungary somewhere that was like a spring pool. So it was just a natural spring, and there was rocks and stuff at the bottom, and that was a really cool pool to play in. But otherwise, every pool is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Smells of chlorine and.
Yep. And a little bit of personality traits. We talked about confidence. We've talked about a little bit about resilience. It sounds like you're a very resilient person.
Yeah.
I've talked in other podcasts about people being empathetic and addressing other people's feelings and being understanding different situations. Are you an empathetic person?
Definitely. I'm a huge empath, and I feel quite heavily for people as well. And I think that that was one of my roles in the team as well, as being there for people and trying to relate to them and let them know that they're loved and there's a space there for them to be like that. So I think that's part of my teaching nature as well, that, when kids get down, I don't immediately want to yell at them. I want to understand why they're doing this. And I'm a very curious person as to why people do things rather than reacting emotionally. But yeah, I definitely did. And funny that because the Year 9s are doing this kind of like, they go through this process called Waterford Journey at Terrace, and they're trying to teach them gratefulness and mindfulness and resilience and empathy and all these things. And, just trying to teach them that and trying to get them out of their own selves and look out to kind of take the blinders off. And there's a whole world out there for you to see, and people are, doing it rough and worse than us, and just trying to teach them those things. Yeah.
The mindfulness part, are you a coffee drinker?
Mm-hmm.
Do you sniff and smell the coffee, or do you just go straight in I just need this coffee?
Pretty much. Pretty much just that. No, my mindfulness thing at the moment is doing the Wordle and the connections and things like that.
You've done Wordle today?
No, I haven't done it today yet.
I don't know the word. My wife would know the word.
Yeah, I haven't done it today. Don't run it.
I'm not running it.
It got quite competitive on tour. We would be on the bus, no one talked to each other, But also when we're going through this program with the Year 9s, we watched this GEM program from the Resilience Project on with the kids, and he was saying that if you write down 3 things every day that went well, and I started doing that, and that's one of my mindfulness things. And I really like that take on what went well rather than what you're grateful for, because you kind of run out of things quickly if you're being grateful for your family and shelter and things like that. But if you actually think throughout the day what went well, rather than, oh, that was a shit day. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. And I sat down actually 2 days ago and did it, and I was like, actually, today was a really good day. And because you're so hardwired for the negative, and one bad thing can ruin a day.
Yeah, I wonder why. Is that just the brain, you reckon?
I think from evolution, right? Evolutionary is
there's I think people call it the line. Sometimes you're above the line or below the line.
Yeah.
The below the line sort of complaining and excuses, and something happened or it rained or things that you can't control but affecting you, whereas above the line's like, oh, it rained, that's okay, I don't care because I'm going to go for a run anyway.
Yeah.
So there's it's a very interesting, the brain's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
We do as a family, we do our 3 Gs, which is grateful, good, and also gram, like a photo that you would take for the day for the kids.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But the gratefulness, we exclude mum or dad making dinner. We exclude mum or dad for sometimes folding the washing and things like that, because it's an obvious you run out of things. But it's tricky on the kids sometimes. The grateful one is sort of a bit of a hard one. But I'm also interested to know from the mindset thing about leadership. Are you a leader? I mean, you're a teacher.
Yeah.
So you're teaching things. So obviously, I think there's a little bit of leadership in you. Are you a leader?
I think naturally I do tend to want to take control and be a leader, or being a teacher, I like to set them off and see if they can trial and see them do it by themselves. Within the team, I was not a leader in the sense of the traditional sense. I wasn't a captain or leadership team or anything like that. However, I think in my own way, I helped lead the team. So yeah, I think it is something natural in me to want to lead.
It isn't.
It is.
It is. Yeah. No, and then
Yeah.
maybe a third Olympics.
To be confirmed.
Well, people. I mean, it's 2024, right? So
Yeah.
there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
But if we were to repeat this podcast in 5 years' time, what would be the Nirvana dream?
I don't know. I'm taking it a year at a time.
Yep.
Right now, I'm focusing on my first year, essentially, of teaching, and getting through that, and seeing if water polo.
It's okay to not know. I don't think I know either.
Yeah,
so I'm asking a question that I probably don't know the answer to myself. So
I would love to be involved in the team from a legacy aspect for sure. And I really want to be involved in the 32 cycle.
Yes.
And somehow be on not even just Team Australia water polo, but Team Australia Olympic team. But yeah, I haven't really thought much past that.
And Brisbane's your home now?
It is, yeah.
And so you've got the home at Townsville, and Brisbane's your home, and we've got the Olympics coming up in 8 years' time. Are you pretty pumped?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Although I'm very intrigued to see what Brisbane puts on as a show, because just with the Parisian backdrops, like the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe and things like that. Yeah.
But, you were there and experienced it all. Was
exactly.
It was just amazing.
So amazing. Yeah. Everyone was just...
Well, maybe because we live in Brisbane, it's kind of a bit tricky to kind of go, but then people from the outside go, wow, so put on a really good show. Do you want to be a part of that somehow?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be a part of Team Oz.
What about coaching? Is that something that's interesting to you or not really?
Not at this moment, no. I don't think so.
I mean, in the future. I mean, you're obviously still playing.
Yeah. I think for now, I'll do the odd maybe school, the camp, holiday camp.
Yep.
Or like the odd, excellence session or things like that. But I just, I don't think full-time coaching is for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in and having a chat. And congratulations on this year. Just a wonderful year. And you said just to lap it up, and you should incredibly lap it up. And we really look forward to seeing what happens in the next couple of years with your
Me
career.
too.
And thanks so much for being on the Scoreboard.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been awesome.